What's going on, everybody? This is Boy Pitts from Pitts and Push Sports Talk Radio, Pitts Sports Zone. Bowie TV coming to you live from Maryland, talking with Coach Bernard Clark Jr., head coach Robert Morris University in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. How you doing, Coach?
Doing great. How you doing today, buddy?
I can't complain, man. I woke up, it was a blessing, so no complaints on my end.
No doubt. And I apologize. We started a little late, but I'm not computer savvy like my man Pitt. So we had some trouble with my phone this morning. He had to get me straight.
Oh no, listen, we account for those, so no apologies necessary. I want to kind of do something different this morning.
Okay.
Want to get your thoughts on something because it has really been tearing me apart. So I'm not sure if you're aware of the incidents that happened this week at Morgan State
Morgan
University.
State. Yes. Yes, sir.
Can you talk about how that? Can you just give your thoughts on just in general how that and what that does to a student body in addition to athletes when such events happen? And 9 times out of 10, it's by individuals who don't even attend the university.
Yeah, that's the thing. It shakes up the core of the entire university and also the community around it. It's like you said, it's people that are involved in these things that don't even attend the university. It's like they're trying to cause chaos and cause trouble. But now, how do you get those students to understand, hey, it's okay. You can go to class. You can go to practice. You can do these things. Now it becomes a tough situation because you're trying to deal with that inner community. We had an incident not too long ago here with some crazy nonsense happening on campus with people breaking in cars and stuff like that. So it's a situation where now kids become uneasy. You got a lot of college students that are not sure what's going on. You got parents who aren't there, who are miles away. So it's a tough situation trying to communicate through cell phones and everything else they can communicate to, man. But it really breaks down the core of the community. But also at that time, I think the students need to rise up and become as one and understand that, hey, if you see something, say something. Don't just let it go by. Don't, hey, that's no big deal. That's no big deal. No, everything's a big deal on a college campus. So make sure anything you see out of place, you're reporting those things.
The trauma that comes behind that, how do you overcome that?
Hmm. I, you know, Pitts, that's a question that's extremely tough because I think people deal with trauma in different ways. It's no different than a young man that has an injury that may be season ending. One young man maybe to come back and fight from that way, it's no big deal. And another young man, it may destroy everything that he believes in and everything he's worked for. So I think people deal with trauma in so many different ways. I think the first thing to do is get counseling on campus. Make sure they have a therapist that they can speak to. And I'm sure the counselor's going to be overworked this week, especially with not only the shooting, but also they canceled the entire homecoming activities, which is something huge when it comes to HBCUs. I mean, it's big on other campuses too, but on HBCUs, it's something huge. You're talking about people coming back and visiting and everything else. So that trauma also adds to it. So it's a situation where I think counselors are going to be overworked this week, but they got to be ready.
Last question, because I don't want to end you this on this in regards to your show, but it was just something that I just wanted to touch. What is your message to your team after a situation like this?
Be careful. First of all, be careful. Like I said, you see something, say something. It's not about being a snitch or anything like that. It's about protecting everyone on campus and make sure that you check your surroundings. Always be aware of what's going on around you, what's happening around you, and who's around you. Make sure you put yourself in the proper environments and take care of your well-being as well as your teammates' well-being. So those are some of the things I would talk to the guys
about. And like I said, to Coach Wilson and the Morgan State staff, university students, body, praying with you that you get through this tough time. And, I can transition that into your wow of the week.
Absolutely.
We talked about
we talked about our wow of the week earlier on Tuesday. We talked about confidence and that self-assurance because you put in the work, the self-assurance in your abilities and your qualities because you put in the work to be confident. That's the thing that's important. We talk to our guys all week long about having that confidence. The thing I'll say to you, Pitts, and I kind of got a question for you is when you're speaking to these young men, because again, this is more your generation than my generation, how do you get through to these young men that confidence is built off of hard work? Confidence is built off of you chattering and talking. And I know we talked a little bit about it on Tuesday, but I said, you know what, I should have shot this question to Pitts and see how would he go about building a young man's confidence when he thinks that it's all about talking and not about working behind the scenes. It's like an iceberg. You see the
Yeah.
tip of an iceberg, but there's a whole lot more going on underneath on the iceberg, or a duck. You see a duck going across water, but he's paddling real fast underneath there. So how do you instill in these young men the work to build that confidence?
Trust. Be authentic. One of the things that I've learned over the course of my life, my 42 years, is that I have learned what the meaning and term of different generations mean, and the way that each generation receives information. Um, because I have a 16-year-old and an 11-year-old,
Mm-hmm.
I have had to adapt in how I respond to them. I have had to adapt in how I nurture them. They and not all, but it becomes more of a, I have to be authentic in what I'm saying. I have to be direct. Um, I have to basically spell out what my expectations are in order, and basically not only that, but also telling them what they can achieve and telling them the power that they do have and telling them that the only way they lose that power is by them themselves. They control the power in their hands. They control the decisions they make, which make when then transitions to confidence, because when you're doing the things necessary and you're intentional about it, it then boosts your morality, it boosts your self-confidence, it boosts your integrity, it just boosts everything around it. And I think that, like, even when I'm on campuses, right, and I'm talking to young kids, to some of the players, it's relational, but it's more of a honest relational. Like, like even with some of the Bowie players, I'll be honest, listen, you got to cut that out. You too old for that. Discipline. You know, it's the mindset. But you gotta want to have that change of mindset. And I think that for some reason, my children's generation have a mindset of entitlement,
Mm.
and they have a mindset of microwave results. And I use my children because I don't want to single out anybody else's, so I can do that with mine. In regards to this statement, is because if I don't show them, okay, so you wanted a fast result, and this is what happened. Now look at what happens once your fast result unfold, right? So now you have to basically redo the work all over again because you wanted to do a quick route. You wanted to go about it a quick way. You have to be confident in knowing that you belong. You have to be
Yes.
confident in knowing your ability. You
Yes.
can't let somebody else tell you what you can and cannot be. That is a self-identified thing. Someone can't tell you who you are because they're not you. But
Yes.
you gotta have that will to want to do it. That's that big keyword, that will to want to. You gotta be
Yep.
willing to do it. You gotta be willing to sacrifice. Going back to what you said last week, being fat is hard. Being in shape is hard, right?
Mm-hmm.
And those are will tos. Like, you just don't wake up and be like, "Oh, I just want to be fat today." Like, you go through a period of eating where it gets complacent. That one of those words that we use, and we get to a point sometimes where we feel like we're so deep and dug in that I'm too far along to get out. That
Yes.
we then our mindset then shifts to being, okay, well, this is just what it is, instead of challenging ourselves. We have to
Yes.
challenge ourselves more to
Mm-hmm.
get more out of us. Like you said, it goes back to being uncomfortable. You have to practice
Absolutely.
it. You have
Yes.
to practice wanting to do the right thing. It is like, that's a conscious decision. So that takes practice, especially if it's something that you haven't practiced before,
Yes.
right? You have to be
Yes.
intentional. You got to be
Yes.
practice it. You got to trust it,
Yes.
and you got to
And
be confident in your ability to do it.
yeah, it's crazy you say that because I was listening to Shannon Sharp, and I'm sure he got the quote from somewhere else, but the quote he said was, "You don't learn who you are until you unlearn what you've been told."
Absolutely.
And that's exactly what you're just saying right there. When you build that confidence, when you understand confidence, when you understand complacency, because you do get to a point. And one of my college roommates, who's now a pastor, he sends me scriptures every morning, and he sent the scripture yesterday talking about exactly what you're talking about. Having faith and then having defeat. You have both those voices in your ear every day. You have the force of faith saying, hey, you can do this. This can happen. Then you have that force of defeat saying, why are you trying to do this, man? Why are you putting yourself in this situation? You're not going to get
Absolutely.
any better. You're not going to get any better. But you cannot listen to that voice of defeat. You got to understand everything you want, like we talked about, is on the other side of hard. So I appreciate you giving me that and helping me out there. Because again, I'm still stuck with this generation because I am 56 years old. So it's a situation where I see those things you're talking about. A young man's playing second team. He thinks because he's second team, as soon as the guy in front of him gets hurt, he should go in. Well, not necessarily. The guy, that's the second team at the other position, he may be a better player and maybe one of our best 11, and that's why he's going on the field. Not because you're second team, you think automatically the job should be yours. No, that's not how it works. It's a way of trying to put the best 11 players on the field to win football games. So that sense of entitlement is there, but it's hard for me to respond sometimes because I want to react. So I've caught myself making sure I'm responding to a young man as opposed to reacting to a young man.
And that's the difference. When I was growing up, my parents reacted, right?
Mm-hmm.
And their reaction was their response. But I understood why they reacted and responded the way they did.
Yeah.
It seems like now you can't just respond. You have to really sit back and have a logical reaction to why, and then explain it in detail as if the person you're explaining it to doesn't really understand why you're responding the way they do. And I think that's what we got to get back to, is holding three things that I tell my children, and I also tell players that I talk to who I establish relationships with. One, you got to be accountable. You got to be accountable of yourself, but you only can't be accountable of yourself. You literally got to be accountable of the people around you too, which means if this is company that I shouldn't be around, I'm accountable enough to you to tell you that I can't hang with you, right?
Yes.
You got to take ownership. You got to take ownership of the things that you do. So you got to take ownership, you got to take accountability, but then that also brings that key piece that you have to acknowledge.
Yes.
You have to acknowledge why it is what's happening. And it's no different than, as you said, for a player that's on second team behind, but then you got a player who's also on the other side. That's like taking your left tackle, but it's an entitlement of thinking, well, I'm next up. But what I don't like, what I see a lot of, I don't like in today's culture of sports, when the team is losing, we all used to be pissed. And if one side of the ball is getting dogged on, then we all pissed. That means we gonna go take that frustration out on their team because of how they do on our team. And
Yes.
I don't really, I see players coming to the sidelines laughing, like, we losing. Why are we smiling?
Yeah.
We losing.
I'm with you 100%. I don't, the mentality of, and I think it goes back to everybody gets a trophy. I think it's that everybody gets a trophy mentality where young men and women, athletes grow up thinking, well, I deserve this because I did this. And I heard Lisa Leslie say this, a long time ago. And Lisa Leslie said, no, you work for championships. Getting a championship is hard. You work for being MVP. Those things are hard. Everybody doesn't get that. Everybody doesn't get a championship. You work for those things. You push yourself. You strive to achieve those things. You put in the work to do those things. Being a national champion at the University of Miami, that entire team put in the work.
Right.
That entire team put in the work. Nobody was there on a free ride. Nobody was there, hey, I'm just tagging along. You did something. You were a scout team player. You were a special teams player. You were part of that team and part of that organization in order to achieve being a national champ. But those national champs put in work. And I think some of that's been lost a little bit. And young people thinking that, no, I should have it because I'm here, because I'm a part of it. I should have it. Everybody gets a trophy because every parent, and I get it, I'm not a parent, but I am a parent figure. I get it. Everybody wants their child to feel good. No one wants their child to feel left out. Everybody wants that. But at the same time, when it comes to sports, they have to achieve those things in order to get that good feeling. And that's called transformational. You want to make sure you're transforming that young man to understand he's accomplished something. Right. Not transactional, quid pro quo. You did something, you get something. No, that's not how it works. Let's try to help them understand why they're getting it.
I think that's a broken mindset to have as a parent, man, because what we're doing is we're crippling our children for when they get older because they have an expectation that, well, I was here, I showed up, so I should receive. No, that's not the case. When I
Gotcha.
was in school, when I didn't have good grades and all my friends got honor roll, it made me want to do better so I can get honor roll.
Yeah.
Nowadays, they take that out the system, out the school system, where they don't even acknowledge honor roll because they don't want other students to feel any type of way. That is a
Wow.
broken mindset that we are creating for children from young age and up. Why do we do that? Because it's no different than the trophies. I don't want my kid getting a trophy if they didn't win. They didn't put in the amount of effort and work to get what the team who actually won did. They're not equal. They are
Yeah.
not equal. Like when James Harrison broke his kid's second place trophy because all the parents was like, well, our kids deserve a trophy too, but they don't. They
Yeah.
didn't win. There's
Yeah.
only one winner.
That's it. That's it. No one knows who came in second place.
That's
When it comes,
frustrating. That's frustrating because when you get a student now, you know, you have to really, as a coach, combat all of those things that they were given. And now you have to coach it in such a way where you have on gloves because you got to use with care and caution because they're
absolutely.
not used to being told no, or they're not used to being told you did good, but you didn't do well enough to be the starter. You did good, but you didn't do well enough to be the backup. You didn't continue to put in that practice and preparation.
Yes, and that happens all the time. I have those conversations with young men. They're young men that come to my office and they say, "Hey, coach, how can I get on the field?" And I give them the diagram of how to get on the field, and they go to practice and they do the exact opposite. Hey, when you're on scout team, we got to recognize you. Don't when you get that one play. I always tell them this: don't count your reps, make your reps count. That's what it boils down to. So if you get one chance on the field, stand out. Do something to make yourself stand out. Even if you don't get the ball as a receiver, let's run full speed off the line and run that route to precision. So now, hey, man, we noticed what he just did.
Right.
Or if you're that defensive tackle, fire off the ball, get low. If you get one rep, let's put the guy in the backfield. Let's change the line of scrimmage. Let's do something to make that one rep stand out and don't count it. Now, when you're on special teams, you have to show up on special teams. But if you're the guy jogging down the field because you're upset because you're not starting or you're not playing on offense, playing on defense, then that's an issue because now you're never going to get on the field because you're not giving us what we need. Like
Right.
you said, you're not being a teammate. You're not being a team player. You're not giving us what we need in order for us to achieve things. I told the guys 2 weeks ago, we all can be champions. We don't care who gets the credit. That's what it
Exactly.
boils down to. As long as you don't,
Yeah.
everybody's busting their behind, everybody's giving 100%. As long as we don't care who gets the credit, we can all be champions. But until you understand that, it's going to be tough to be champion.
And to piggyback off of it then goes to, even if you get that one play and we say make it count, that's where mental reps come in play because you've
Absolutely.
seen the play take place over and over and over, and you've heard the people ahead of you get yelled at over and over and over. So now when it's time for you to hit the play, you really should be hitting it at a speed, and you really should have it down pat because you've heard and seen everything else that everybody else did that may have been critiqued. There's no difference when you're doing a drill in practice, right? And you got the
Yeah.
person that's last, and the coach say, what they say, I'm gonna show you once. And they go through the drill, and you got 17 kids that go through the drill, and you get to the last person of the drill, and they do it wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
A lack of focus.
Absolutely. You're 100% correct. And like you said, guys don't understand mental rep. They want to stand on the sideline and joke and then get out there and make the same mistake and wonder why, okay, I'm not getting a shot. Well, your third team, you just made the same mistake the two guys in front of you made. And I always tell you, Coach Johnson told me this years ago, and I've also heard Jim Brown say it. And what Coach Johnson told me was, everybody will be treated fairly. You just won't be treated equal. And what that boils down to is if you're late for a meeting and you're a starter, it's the same punishment as if you're a backup. You're
Absolutely.
late for doing this, you're a starter, it's the same punishment. But on the field, if you're a third team guy and the first team guy is messing up, he's earned the right to mess up as a first team guy. You have not earned that right as a third
Right.
team guy to continually make mistakes. You can't make as many mistakes as him because it's fair, meaning everybody's treated fairly, but it's not equal when it comes to playing time, when it comes to these things. Not to say there's a golden calf. We don't have any golden calves on our team. I'm never going to rub a guy's back or treat him differently just because he's a great football player. Because again, and I learned this from Coach Johnson, and he'll tell you the story. Mike Irvin missed a plane one day because he was late for the plane. Coach Johnson said, let's go. We're taking off. he had to get to the game. Because again, just because you're a starter, now once you get to the game, obviously you're going to start the game.
Right.
But we're leaving at a certain time. We're not going to hold everybody up. And I heard Mike Tomlin say this: when a young man is late for something, to me that's selfish, because now it's all about you. Now you just made it all about you because you're late. Now we got to worry about you being late, not being on time, as opposed to worrying about what the team needs. And so the guys have to be unselfish and understand that everything's fair, it's not equal. So you have to put in the extra work. Everything's on the other side of hard. You got to put in that extra work as a backup to be considered as a starter.
How has the Wild transcended to this week's preparation and practice with your players? How have they responded?
They practicing harder. They're putting in the thing about this week, because I changed up practice a little bit. Got some guys banged up, so we switched out some things, made some things a little more comfortable for them. I wouldn't say easy, made it a little more comfortable for them, so they're able to go a little bit faster, and they understand if they put in the work during practice, we won't run at the end of practice. So that's giving them a little more confidence. I think they're running routes a little harder and things like that because they're not worried about running at the end of practice, even though they shouldn't. But you know how human nature is. So the confidence is built not only in each other, but I think it's also built in one another. The thing I'm still fighting against, to be totally honest with you, Pitts, and the thing that's driving me crazy, the thing I'm going to talk to them about today, and maybe you can answer it for me. Please explain to me how the guy across from you beating your butt doesn't get you upset, but the guy across from you talking noise to you gets you upset. That's something I'm never going to understand with this generation. Talking trash gets them more upset than the guy beating your behind play after play after play after play. You don't want to dominate him, but you want to dominate him as soon as he says something about you. So I'm trying to figure those things out.
Well, one, I don't know, because I've never done that. My co-host on Pits and Push, on the Sports Talk Radio, Henry Lane, we played against each other. Me being from Wilkinsburg, him from the Hill. That was a game where you're going to get both. Either you're gonna put your man pants on, and you're gonna dominate physically, but then also understand that the talking is gonna come too. There was no way I can talk if I'm getting dragged on the field.
Exactly.
Right? Because at that point, I'm tucked. My tail is tucked. Like I can't. There's nothing I can say to defend anything, because action-wise, you have dominated me the whole game. So I have to now figure out what I'm doing that I haven't been doing that is allowing you to do this to me. There's nothing for me to say. Our coach used to always tell us, if you're getting your ass kicked, excuse my language, kids, if you're getting your ass kicked on the field, I don't want to hear you say anything to nobody.
That's it.
Like, you gotta go out there and keep going. And I don't understand that either, because what that does, and as I said on our last show, was that I saw how it took some of the players out of their game. They then focused more on talking instead of preparation, or instead of execution. It then became more jawing after the play. And another thing I don't understand is I don't understand why players are arguing with other players that's on the bench. If you're on the field and your attention is geared to somebody talking to you on the sideline, then you're not focused. You're not focused.
100%. You're not focused at all. So 100% is exactly what you said. And the one thing that drives me crazy at every level, especially with defensive players, if it's 3rd and 2 and the offensive running back or the wide receiver gets the first down, but you lay a massive hit on him and you get up talking trash, why are you talking? He just got the first down. They got 4 more downs to score. Why are you running your mouth? Go back to the huddle and let's get going. Let's get the next play. He just got the best of you. Now let's figure out how we're going to get the best of him. So those are the things that are kind of running in my mind, Pitts, to be honest with you, because I still got to straighten those things out and still got to get a hand on those things. And like yourself, being an older guy, I don't understand them, but I got to try to understand.
My question would be to that player, what did we gain as a team? Yeah, you laid a big hit, but they got a first down. Their drive continues. He's not hurt. He's going back in the huddle, which means he has the opportunity to get another first down. It's the like when I was saying earlier, it is that will. It is that will to want to do it. It's that will to practice to do it every time. When they say no plays off, that means literally no plays off. If my teammate is getting his butt kicked by this player on this side, then I'm kicking your butt. And
Yeah.
I'm doing it even more now because what's happening to my teammate. Like, that's what I meant by when I said that, being accountable for each other. Um, Even on the field, you got to be accountable for each other. If I see you jawing with another player and I know we're losing, I don't care if I'm the captain or not. Nothing for us to say. Do your talking on the field. There's
That's
nothing
it.
left to say.
That's it. And it's
Like,
like Mike,
stop
Mike,
talking, get to it.
yeah. And Mike Tomlin said this too, and exactly what you're just talking about. He said, everybody has the ability to do something. They ain't got nothing to do with ability. Everyone has that. Are you willing to do it? Bottom line is, are you willing to run up in that hole and knock the man out and keep him from getting the first down? Or are you willing to run this guy over and get the first down? What are you willing to do? Everybody has the ability. That's why you're there. Somebody said it best. A friend of mine said it best. From the neck down, everyone deserves to be in that locker room. You're fast enough, you're strong enough, because the coaches have you there. So everyone deserves to be in that locker room from the neck down. It's from the neck up. Are you willing to put yourself in those situations and think about what could happen and what couldn't happen and what's going to happen on this play, what's going to happen on that play? What are you willing to do? What willpower do you have? So I agree with you 100%.
I also think before I get to the last question, the other thing is the will to challenge each other. You don't have to
I think we lost Pitts, guys. My man Pitts was on a roll. He was good to go. I think we lost him. Hopefully he'll be back here in a second. But he's 100% right in everything that he's talking about and how he's putting it. There's no doubt about it.
My bad, coach.
No problem at all.
I'm sorry.
I was
Technical,
entertaining the folks. I was talking to the folks as you were going. You're okay. We're good.
technical difficulties. My thing is, it's not the will to want to do it sometimes too. It's the will to challenge each other. Understand that everybody on the field is a leader. Like, you're a born leader in your own way. And it's
Mm-hmm.
how you gear into that leadership role. What are you willing to do to step outside of yourself to challenge somebody else to step up their leadership? And when it comes to that, I think that then across the board, it levels everyone, right? Because now I know that I'm the captain, but the freshman just told me, you're not putting in the work. I've seen you work. This ain't it. That's humbling.
Yes.
But now we live in a society where to some it's humbling, to others is, do you know who I am? It's seniority. It's that. So when we're on a football team, we're regardless of your star status to mine, we're still equal because we're
Yes.
all playing for the same goal, to win a game. So there
Yes.
really should be no, I am here and you're here. Talk to my PR.
I'm
So
with you. I'm with
my
you.
that's my take, when it comes to that in regards to, just team camaraderie. Where has it gone?
It's missing. That's one of the things. And when people talk about culture, that's really what they're talking about. And I always say, when I was at the University of Miami, it was all about the team. This is a player's game. My message to the guys at the end of practice yesterday is, we're losing games. Don't get me wrong, the teams we've lost to have been good teams. I'm not saying that. But we're losing games because of penalties and missed tackles.
Yes.
Those are physical things. Those
Yes.
are things that you are responsible for as a player. As a
Yes.
coach, we put you in position to make these things happen. But when it comes to physical attributes, that's on you as a player. And that's what we need to understand. And once we get out of our own head and stop thinking about entitlement, start thinking I'm the guy and all this other stuff, and we understand that we can all win if we don't care who gets credit.
What are your last thing, what are your keys to the game for this Saturday?
Basically, what we've been talking about, but the biggest thing is we got to get our running game going. I've talked to the offensive line all week. I've talked to the running backs of being patient, hitting the hole. Our running game has to get picked up, and we have to stop the run on defense. They have two outstanding running backs, two great players that are coming back. I think they're seniors. They got a strong offensive line. They got a quarterback who started a few games last year. So they have the right mindset, but their running game is outstanding. They've done a good job of running the ball all year. Our running game hasn't been outstanding. So we got to make sure we get our running game going, which I think will open up our passing game, because right now, with the running game not being where it needs to be at, they're able to kind of jam on our receivers and shut our receivers down because we're not running the ball as well as we need to. So those are the two things we need to do. But like I talked about too, got to cut down on the penalties. We got to make tackles. We got to execute. Our guys have to physically understand what they're capable of doing and get it done.
Let's go, Bobby Moe.
Let's go, Bobby Moe. Let's get it done.
Look forward to talking with you, man, this Saturday, Execution Saturday, Pits and Push Sports Talk Radio, Pitt Sports Zone, Bowie TV. Let's go, Colonials.
Let's do it.